often get the argument that when something goes wrong, a lot like with the opioids, right? When something goes wrong, we need more involvement from the federal government. We hear that a lot. We need more oversight. We need more restriction. We need more supervision, et cetera, et cetera. But it's not necessary. And the more layers of bureaucracy fundamentally equate to higher levels of waste, fraud, abuse, and sometimes just straight out corruption. And really the more efficient way to distribute funds and resources is at a local level, right? Think about, would you trust the federal government to train all those coal miners? Or would you trust local companies that will actually employ them and give them, give them work? And I want to point out an example. In particular, one of our favorites is the Cajun Navy. It's one of our organizations on our website. On the WeDoBetter.org website, we have examples of organizations that do better. And the Cajun Navy is one of them. And what the Cajun Navy does is that whenever there's a hurricane or a major tropical storm, whenever there's severe flooding, particularly in Texas and Louisiana, they get together and they create an operation to rescue people. They do water rescues. They provide food. They provide shelter. They help people however they can. And they're up right here. That's a photo of them in action. And what it is it's people with boats, small boats, pickup trucks, and gear. And they are able to get moving within hours to respond to a natural disaster. Within hours. And the organization initially was running on practically no funding. In the early days, you couldn't even donate to the Cajun Navy. Now that they've gained some fame, you can now donate, and they have a very good looking website that you can go check out. And we'll have notes to that, obviously, in the show notes. And I wanted to compare that to the FEMA and the Coast Guard, because we're seeing these humongous federal budgets in the billions from FEMA and the Coast Guard, and they don't get to the states in time a lot of the time. Either the money goes to a state emergency response department, and there's some kind of bureaucratic delay, and they're not able to get all the money in the right hands on time. Sometimes what happens is that once the employees are there, they're not as efficient because they have lots of layers of command. They're trying often to just make sure that the media doesn't cover all the bad stuff that's happening. And obviously it's costing the American taxpayers, billions and billions of dollars to keep these organizations afloat. And when it comes down to the number of people saved, the Cajun Navy during Hurricane Harvey saved thousands of people. Not actually that many less than the Coast Guard. If I'm not mistaken, and we'll put this in the show notes, how many people were saved exactly. But if I remember correctly, it was the Coast Guard had saved about 9,000 people. And the Cajun Navy had saved about 6,000 people. And this is a grassroots organization with hardly any funding. And as you can see in the photo, they're riding around with dinghies. And they don't need billions of dollars. And so we need to focus again on the results and how people are getting helped. Are our solutions as efficient as they could be or not? That's what's important, not whether the federal government's managing it or the state's managing it. But of course, the more layers of bureaucracy we have, the more it's going to cost and the less we're going to get out of it.